Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already and drop a like on this video. Today it was very clear to me what game I was going to have to watch, and that was Lakers versus Blazers, because if I can give the play-in tournament any bit of credit, it is that it does make the end of the regular season more interesting than it typically is. Outside of like an 8th seed battle, generally speaking, the end of the season doesn't matter all too much. But in this case, we have the Los Angeles Lakers, who have been dropping in the standings just because of how many injuries they've had this year, and they were facing the Blazers, who have the same record as them, and being that they just lost this game, they now drop to the 7th seed, which means they're in the play-in tournament, which is where the whole LeBron saying he doesn't like the play-in tournament idea or thing came from, which is funny because last year he said he liked the play-in tournament. I don't put too much stock in that. That's perfectly fine with me. I don't really care that it's hypocritical because I don't care at all, so whatever. But that is why he is not okay with the play-in tournament now, but was then, because he wasn't expecting the Lakers to be a bottom feeder in the West, but they are. So now the Lakers fall to the 7th seed, potential to be in the play-in tournament. It's still possible. I'm not sure how many games, Face ID, son of a bitch. I'm not sure how many games are left in the regular season for the Lakers. I'm going to pull it up and do the math quickly in my head, and hopefully it's not stupid like it is half of the time I do math on camera. So they have 5 games left. They have 5 games left and there is just a 1-game difference and a 2-game difference between the 5 seed. So hey, it's plausible they move up to the 5 seed if things really go their way. But LeBron has another injury that it seems like he's going to be out with for basically the rest of the regular season, or maybe he'll get the last game or two. And I'm actually going to pull up their schedule in front of me because I'm actually not sure what it is. But the Lakers lose this game. They also do not get the what's the word I'm looking for? They lose. That would have been a tiebreaker, or it would have determined who, if they had the same record, who got the higher seeding with the Blazers. And being that they're neck and neck right now, that matters. I don't remember. I don't know exactly how that works. I'm saying this stuff out loud and it doesn't make sense, but I'm trying to pull up this shit. Can I pull up the game log, please? For the love of God. Game log. Game log. There we are. Okay. That doesn't show you the following games. Son of a bitch. Schedule and results. Okay. There we go. The last couple of games they have is the Suns, the Knicks, the Rockets, the Pacers, and the Pelicans. Those last 3 games are very winnable. Suns and Knicks, not so much the case, especially if it's just AD. But yeah, the Lakers are not in a good position. And I titled a video very recently that the Lakers could be in trouble. They are officially in the in trouble category. How they actually handle it and get out of the situation, we'll see how that plays out. But they are not in a good spot, to be sure. So, yeah, that's very interesting. To talk about the game itself, this was a pretty damn good game, and this was in spite of the fact that the Lakers had basically nobody except for AD. I do have to say real quick, Andre Drummond is just not it. That's really all there is to say. He's just so poor defensively. And then, yeah, Marc Gasol is not the best floor spacer in the world, but he's significantly better at it than Andre Drummond. And the teams semi-care about Marc Gasol enough to get a hand up when he puts a 3 up. Andre Drummond is not taking them, nor should he be taking them, period. So that's a non-factor. And just having Gasol spacing, while he is a better defender, even if he is slow, he's not much slower than Drummond. He's a worse rebounder, to be sure. But other than rebounding, there's nothing Drummond does better than Marc Gasol right now. And I just rather have Marc Gasol next to AD. Speaking of AD, 36 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. Other standout performances from this one is a not good standout performance for Kyle Kuzma, as he goes 2 for 11 and shoots the dumbest shot of the game. We'll talk about that hopefully in a second, unless I forget about it. And both Alex Caruso and KCP had 17 and 18 points. KCP had 5 assists, and Alex Caruso This is a weird game from him because you look at the box score, he'd be like 18 points, 6 rebounds, like 50% from the field, 2 for 2 for 3. Good game. And it was a good game, but he had a couple of questionable plays. He had 2 layups brick. He took 1 questionable pull-up shot where he was wide open for 3, but he decided to dribble like to the free throw line and then shoot a fadeaway pull-up shot. It was like, you're better off taking the 3 than a contested pull-up. You're not Kobe. After that, he also took a dumb one-legged floater that was like when they needed a three-pointer, like desperately. They were down 5 with no more time left on the shot clock. It was just game clock, and he took a 1-foot pull-up mid-range shot. That didn't go in. So he took some questionable shots at certain times, but overall had a good game. He had 1 layup right before the shot I mentioned that was very good. So you can't get too mad at him. Who you can get mad at is Kyle Kuzma, who takes a big 3. AD just got the momentum going all the way on the Lakers side. He just got 2 huge blocks in a row. He got a tip layup to make it a 3-point game. And then on the fast break, after AD fell down alongside Nurkic, Kuzma just takes a contested moving 3 on the break, which was very short. And being that he at that point was 1 for 9, not the best shot attempt in the world. Don't do that. That was a very ballsy shot that you had no right to take. And that kind of cost them the game. Like, you could have very easily slowed things down and gotten a better look than that. Granted, though, offense in the half court was pretty fucking difficult for the Lakers in this one. AD was essentially functioning as the point guard, and when he wasn't doing it, it was KCP. He has 5 assists in this one. Really, I think if Dennis Schroeder played in this game, the Lakers win. Not much more depth is needed than that. If he plays this game, they win because they have a ball handler. AD was the main facilitator in this game, both as a ball handler and a passer, and that's not ideal. I understand he played point guard in high school, or at the very least middle school, and then he had his growth spurt. That's the whole AD story. And he's a good playmaking big man, but he should not be your primary play initiator. That is a problem. Not that that's an issue all the time, because you normally have LeBron James and Dennis Schroeder on the roster, but it's an issue today because they didn't have that. On the Blazers side of things, Dame came into this game fucking gunning. Like, he took, for example, he took like 5 threes in the first half, or first quarter, and I think he only made 1 of them, but they were all such ballsy, like, only Dame and Steph are allowed to take this shots. And he took like 4 of them within a 5-minute span. And one of them in particular, there's about 40 seconds left in the game. He gets a double screen at half court, goes still on the logo, pulls up with 2 hands over the ball, and it doesn't go in. But I was like, you know what, Dame? You do what you want to do. Like, he was going for it. Eventually, the shot started dropping, and he finished this game 5 for 9 from outside and 12 for 18 from the field overall. Lakers really didn't have much of an answer for him. Outside of that, though, the offense did not come easy. Like I said, AD had a couple of blocks in this one. I don't actually know how many he finished with. Let me pull that up. He finished with... Wait, he had 1 block. Okay, I guess he blocked an alley-oop. I guess they call it as a deflection before the block, and then he definitely blocked Nurkic. I guess that didn't count as a block. That's weird to me because I read that as 2 blocks, but I guess not. But Lillard was having a great game. After that, though, CJ was struggling. Norman Powell was struggling. Nurkic got blocked a couple of times, though he had a very nice layup at the start where Drummond looked like a fucking useless defender. Well, that's because he is. And Enes Kanter played all right through Ramadan, so shout out to him for that. But I do have to talk about 2 plays late in this game that ended up balancing out. There were a couple of questionable calls in this one. I will say my recognition of bad calls does not stand out as much just because I play games on mute, and sometimes you don't really notice. And you're like, oh, someone's going to the free throw line? I don't really know why, but okay. I really only noticed in crunch time, so I heard people complaining about calls in the game. If you're really dialed into the sound, you'll notice that stuff, but for the most part, I'm just looking at the screen and what happens. But There was two plays. There was a tip dunk that by Kuzma. I think it was a dunk. That was, it looked to me like it wasn't offensive interference, but they called it that way. But the worst call was right before that. Norman Powell, there was a beautiful play by the Blazers. They swung it all the way around the perimeter. Norman Powell attacks from the right side side of the corner of the three-point line, goes right at the basket, gets, I think, Marc Gasol to jump, and then he passes it to Nurkic for the dunk. And then after the pass, he immediately gets ran over by Alex Caruso. Really, it's not like it was intentional, but just both of them were both running right into the same path, and then they hit each other. Neither of them looking at each other, really. I guess Alex Caruso probably saw Powell a little bit, but Powell outright had his back turned. And Doris Burke on the call, this kind of annoyed me. I love Doris Burke, but she said, like, Norman could have avoided it. No, he couldn't have. He could not have avoided that whatsoever. That was not an offensive foul. They called an offensive foul on Powell, and, like, no. The pass was made. Alex Caruso comes fucking running out of nowhere from Powell's perspective. So what is he supposed to do? Predict the future? Like dodge like he's Neo? Like, that was absolutely not an offensive foul. If anything, it's a defensive foul, and they took points away because of that. But then the next possession, they take points away on what probably should have counted on a tip dunk. So, and the Blazers still won, so it doesn't ultimately matter. But dumb calls, and that frustrates me. This game was interesting. The Lakers without LeBron and Schroeder, like, just pretty much AD doing everything. Absolute carry job. And I will say, I mentioned the 2 blocks there. Really, AD for the entirety of this fourth quarter really just going all in on it. And I will say as well, this is like the first game I've seen of AD this year where he outright looks like Anthony Davis from the season before. Because even when AD was playing before he got injured, it wasn't as good. He was a little more timid, and then he comes back from injury, and he's understandably a little bit off because of injury. This is the first game I've seen from AD this season where he has looked fantastic. I'm not saying it's the only game of the season where he has been fantastic, but it's the only one I've seen this year, and it was nice to see AD be out, just completely AD again. But that could be a good sign for the Lakers because, you know, hopefully he's fully there now for when the playoffs happen, because it was concerned like, hey, AD hasn't looked as amazing this year, so that could be a problem in the playoffs. If this game is a sign of him figuring that out, that'd be fantastic. And if LeBron could come back and he just kind of has it figured out immediately because he's LeBron, I think they'll be fine. I still think they win the play-in tournament if that happens, but you'd also like to just avoid the play-in tournament being a thing so you don't have to play those extra 2 or 3 games, or just 2 games based on how the play-in tournament works, and then you could get a bigger break, basically, and that matters, especially with this team being what it is. But maybe you could argue getting some reps in would matter, but also reps in a single elimination game, not the greatest. If things go bad, chemistry's off, and one team just has a hot night, suddenly you're not in the playoffs. The play-in tournament's really stupid, the more I think about it. But yeah, the prospect of the Lakers getting out of the playoffs because of a game, that's dumb. It's just dumb. Anyways, I don't know. Lakers ramble. This went on for longer than I expected, but I said that last time as well. Here it is. I don't know. Bye.